the shadow market, where spirits trade. It was late in the evening when I first heard about the shadow market. I should have just gone home, like everyone else, but something inside me told me to follow. It wasn't the whispers, or the stories, or the warnings from the elders. No, it was the feeling of something strange that I couldn't shake. I didn't know what I was getting into, but I was about to find out in the most terrifying way. I had just come back from a long day, working in the fields, and the air felt different that evening. Heavy, thick, like it was holding its breath. I was walking home alone, as usual. I don't mind it. Our village isn't big, and I'm used to the quiet. But that night, as I took my usual shortcut through the bush, I saw something that made my heart stop. There was a light in the distance. It wasn't from a house or a lantern, but it flickered like fire. I thought it might be someone in the bush, maybe trying to catch game or set a trap. But when I drew closer, I saw shapes moving around the light, figures that seemed too tall, too still. I felt my heart beat faster, and that's when I heard it. A voice, low, grating. I couldn't make out the words, but I knew it wasn't human. At that moment, I should have turned around, I should have run. But I didn't. I felt drawn to it, like a moth to a flame. The light grew brighter as I approached, and the figures, dark shadowy things, came into clear view. I should have turned back, but curiosity, foolish curiosity, kept me going. Then I saw it. The market. It was set up in the middle of the bush, strange and unnatural, like it had just appeared out of nowhere. Wooden stalls lined the space, each one overflowing with objects, fruits that looked like they'd never been seen before, strange masks and necklaces that seemed to move on their own. The air smelled different too, like something old, like it hadn't been breathed in for centuries. I saw people moving between the stalls, but they weren't villagers. No, they looked wrong. Their eyes were dark, and their faces had a strange kind of stillness to them, like they weren't entirely there. Some of them didn't even seem to walk. They floated just above the ground. I wanted to turn around, to run, but I couldn't. I was rooted to the spot. A tall figure, dressed in robes that shimmered like night itself, appeared from behind a stall. He was the one who spoke. His voice was deep, almost too deep, like it came from somewhere far away. "Come," he said, his words hanging in the air like smoke. "Come and see what the spirits trade." His eyes, cold and black, like empty pits, locked onto mine. I felt a chill run through me. Something in me screamed to leave, to get out of there. But before I could move, the ground beneath me trembled, and the market seemed to grow, stretching further than it should have, as though the forest itself had shifted to make room for it. Then I heard it, the unmistakable sound of whispers, not from the people, but from the air itself. They were calling me, beckoning me closer. "Come, join the market." That's when I saw it. A stall covered in dark cloth, with a small bowl sitting on top. I didn't want to look, but something made me. The bowl was filled with something. It was hard to tell at first, but as I stepped closer, the shape became clear. It was a heart, beating slowly, as if it was alive. And in the bowl, it glowed with an eerie red light. I stepped back, my mind racing. I needed to leave, but the tall figure in the robes was already standing in front of me. He smiled, but there was no warmth in it. His teeth were sharp, and his eyes seemed to flicker with some kind of darkness. "Do you see it now?" he asked, his voice soft but terrifying. "This is the market of spirits, where we trade what you value most." I didn't understand at first, but then it hit me. The heart. It was a trade, just like he said. They weren't just selling things, they were trading souls. The whispers grew louder. and my heart was hammering in my chest. I felt something pulling at me, dragging me closer to the store with the heart. I couldn't move, couldn't speak. I was frozen, my eyes locked onto the glowing red heart. And then I saw something else. A figure stepped into view, an old woman, bent and frail, her face wrinkled with age. She had a basket in her hand filled with small, strange-looking items, bones, feathers, and stones. She looked at me with eyes that seemed to see everything, and in that moment, I knew I was in too deep. I had crossed the line, and there was no going back. "Welcome to the shadow market," she said, her voice low and raspy. "You are not here by mistake." I didn't understand what she meant, but before I could ask, I felt a hand on my shoulder. It wasn't the man in robes. It wasn't anyone human. It was cold, freezing cold, and then it whispered right in my ear, "Your soul is worth something here." That was when everything went black.